Hi, this is Midwife Nell again with Susan Rachel Condon, certified midwife from New York State. And Susan Rachel is going to do some demonstrations for us of left-handed suturing. So, Susan Rachel, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, first we want to do a demo of managing the needle holder. So if you could just show and talk about picking it up, opening it, closing it, and then making a mock stitch, no needle, no nothing. We just want to see the hand motions.
Okay, sure. So for manipulating the needle and for protecting the needle, I hold it with the tripod hold. And then when I am placing a stitch, I palming it because I have more control over the needle itself and
Oh,
better leverage.
and could you just demonstrate that again very slowly so people can actually see what is happening with your hand?
Sure. And I should also mention that when I open it and when I close it, it's easier for me to do it with my forearm pronated or my hand pronated because my thumb is doing the manipulation of opening and closing the driver. So again, slowly, I'm going to take my ring finger and my thumb out of the rings and then hold it like this to place the stitch.
And then once you've placed the stitch,
And once I've placed the stitch, then I'm going to use my tissue forceps to control the needle and rotate it and then pull it through.
and then how will you reload your needle?
And then I will go back to the tripod hold like this to reload my needle.
All right, great. Thanks so much. All
Sure.
right. Now, before we go to actually placing stitches, could you demonstrate opening your packet of suture and loading the needle?
Sure.
And again, please take your time because I know our viewers will want to see this in detail.
No motion. All right.
And I love that you have a 3.0 Vicryl Rapide. Thank you.
Okay. So what I do when I am taking the suture out of the packet is I rotate the packet away from the needle driver. So I will grasp the needle with the needle driver and then I rotate the packet and pull it away, always keeping the needle in my field um, for hygiene as well as to keep it out of the visual field of all the people in the room. So then I'm ready to go.
So, but your needle is facing,
That is true. My needle is facing the wrong way.
okay, so you
Yeah,
you will need to reposition your
I
needle.
position the needle, and I think I just do that habitually without even thinking about it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I know you have another packet of suture, and I don't want to be a suture waster, but I'm wondering if there is another way to do it.
Should we figure it out?
Um, uh, Maybe not now. Maybe at the end we'll try it.
You can play with it.
Yep. So, okay. And then if you were going to protect your needle, and how do you hold your tissue forceps?
Like so.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And always keep your thumb and fingers on the textured part. So don't get too close to the tip, please. Because the
Uh,
whole idea is that your fingers are not in your visual field. So see
right.
the pointer finger there?
Mm-hmm.
It should be on the ridged area. There, move it back a little. There you go. You're beautiful.
All
Okay.
right. So when I protect the needle, for me, the trick is that um, I make the letter P for protect.
All right. I love that. That's not something I'd heard before.
Hold it like that. So
Okay, so I want you to stop right there. It's clicked closed, right?
It is.
Okay, so when you move it again, ready to use, I want you to very gently unclick and don't pull the needle out of the needle holder, just to rotate it into the ready to use position.
Okay.
There you go. Oh, you snuck it out. So
I
I'm going
didn't.
to do that again. So I
Okay.
want you to protect it without taking the needle out. So don't open the needle holder quite so much. All right. So this
Okay.
is an exercise that people can do to get that fine motor coordination. And that way you don't have to do that hand-eye coordination to get the needle in the right place again. It's already in the right place. You just gently rotate it around. Can you do that one more time?
Sure. Okay.
Oh, you popped it out. So the goal is not to let it come out.
Okay. So you're talking about going back and forth the same way.
Correct.
Okay.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
So the idea is here you've just loaded your needle after you've placed a stitch, but
Mm-hmm.
now you go, oh, yeah, but I want to tie a knot, and so I'm going to rotate it back around. And the key with this is that you are having to gain fine motor control so that you are barely opening your needle holder, which is much harder to do with the left hand because of
Mm-hmm.
the way the needle holder is constructed.
Okay.
Great. That looks beautiful. Thank you. And I do
Sure.
want to make one comment about left-handed needle holders. The ones that I have seen actually could be used in either hand. They're springs, and there's no rings in them at all. And they are great, but I have heard over and over from left-hand dominant people that their hospitals either won't get them, don't have them, or even if they purchase their own, that they won't keep them separate in central processing.
Yeah.
So just want to raise that. If somebody is going to be in a hospital setting and they want their own, they need to find some way of identifying it so that it goes separately to central sterile processing and then comes back to them.
Yeah, which is tough.
Probably through the office is the best way to do it,
Yeah, that makes sense.
because those things are usually done in single packs. So, but
And I sutured with right-handed needle drivers for 30 years, so
yeah.
it's not a great hardship. It's just an interesting thing that I didn't even know they existed.
Well, the spring-loaded ones are great because you can use them with either hand. And sometimes, placing a stitch is awkward, and using your other hand, whichever hand is dominant, doesn't matter, is going to help you be more precise. Okay, so let's set that aside for just a moment now that it's protected, and we'll pull out your flat model, please. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and place a stitch.
Okay. Go back to my P.
All right, so you go ahead and you can come a little closer to me because we're only going to do about 3 stitches. And go ahead and place a stitch. So slowly placing a shallow stitch, we're going to pretend this is going through vaginal mucosa. Bring your needle out. Beautiful. Grasp it with your tissue forceps. Let go with your needle holder. Now gently place the needle holder as counter pressure and go ahead and pull that needle out with your tissue forceps. Sometimes it's easier with real tissue than with these models because of the type of fabric. All right, now stop there and go ahead and load your needle ready to use. So, okay. All
And
right.
did you want to tie a
Now,
knot?
Now you're going to pull your suture through. Very nice. I love that you did it so that your needle driver did not leave your field. And go ahead and do a one-handed tie, please. So ideally, the one-handed tie is going to be performed with the opposite hand than the suturing hand. And just go do whatever it is you usually do, Susan Rachel. Sometimes it's harder with dry suture and no gloves.
Yes, it is indeed. Come on. There we go.
All right, then we'll clip that short end. And ideally, you're going to clip that short end with your right hand so that you don't have to put your needle holder down. Good. I like to leave the suture ends a half to 1 centimeter long. Looks like that's about a half a centimeter. And if you could go ahead and just do a couple of just plain running stitches, and then we'll end with an instrument tie. So again, be mindful about how you hold your tissue forceps.
Okay.
There you go. And think about that if this was in the vagina, that suture would be kind of coming toward you, right? Because it would be coming out of the vagina.
Because of the angle.
Yep.
And this dry suture also has sort of a will of its own.
As do many of them.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons why practice is so important, so that we learn to manage the suture, no matter how recalcitrant it might be.
Oops. And I dropped it.
It's a good thing you got a nice sterile field there.
Yes, I do. I have a very nice sterile field. All right. Let's get you back under control here. All right.
All right, and I'm going to have you do one more stitch after this. And what I want you to do is demonstrate pulling the needle out without using the tissue forceps. So let's pretend it's deep in the vagina, and we're not going to be putting the tissue forceps deep in the vagina.
So it'd be a bit of a deeper bite.
Yep. So it doesn't have to be a deeper bite, but what you're, no tissue forceps, no tissue forceps. So
Right.
what you're going to do is you're just going to push a little harder to make sure you get as much needle through as you can. There you go. Let go with your needle holder. And then grasp as close to the tissue as possible so you're not damaging the tip. Now move your needle holder down the needle so you're on the body of the needle. Now pull it the rest of the way out, rotating it consistent with the curve of the needle, and then you can just go ahead and load it, protect it, and we'll do an instrument tie.
Oops.
Most of our clients don't have corners.
Yeah, that is
Oh,
true.
so you're
Thank
going to
goodness.
back that stitch out so you've got something to tie your instrument tie to. There you go, your lovely little loop. And I'm going to walk you through this very slowly, okay? I
Okay.
want to have everybody understand what's happening. So
Sure.
you're going to put your tying instrument on your long end, and you want to hold a little tension with your fingers of your left hand. Do you prefer to, so we could use either hand for it, but one hand has to be holding your long end. So just hold the suture. The, uh, there you go. Lay your
Okay.
tying instrument on top.
Lay it down.
No, I want you to hold the suture
Oh, you're
with,
going to do this with the needle here.
yes, we're going to leave the needle there,
Okay.
but you're not going to tie with your needle holder.
Right.
So I want you to put the instrument that you're going to tie with on top of the long end.
Got it.
So you're not tying with your needle holder.
Do I put this down?
No, you hold it in your hand.
My
So
hand.
if you're going to be using your left hand to do the tie, put the needle holder in your right hand and hold the suture with your right hand. There you go.
That
Now,
makes more sense
yep,
to me.
wrap. Go ahead and wrap. Yep, it's hard to have somebody talk you through it when you're just used to doing it. Grab the tip. What? You're going way too fast for our viewers, so go ahead and take that out. So I want you to go ahead and lay on top, wrap twice very gently, keep it
Hmm.
loose, grab the tip of the loop. Now switch directions so the loop comes towards you and the long end goes away from you. And pull that off to one side so we're not on the wound. All right, now ease up on both. Let go with your tying instrument. Lay it on top of your long end again. Keep your long end away from you. No, long end has to be away from you. There. Now, yes. Now wrap once. Grab the loop. That's why you want it loose, so you've got room to move. Now switch directions so the long end is coming toward you and the loop is going away from you. Tighten her down. Okay, ease up on both. Keep the long end toward you. And lay down, wrap once. Grab the loop, switch directions. Long end away from you. Away from you, away from you. There you go. Good. And we'll do one more throw. Beautiful. All right. And then you're going to pick up scissors in whichever hand you prefer. And you can clip, if your loop is short, you only need to clip the long end. If your loop is long, you're going to clip both, but the loop will not bother anybody.
Yeah, what do you think about this loop? It's about a centimeter. Do you think that's long?
I usually ignore them.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got the rest of your suture if you needed to do a labial repair or something like that.
Right there.
Yep. So this is why, regardless of your handedness, we have to get comfortable with using both hands. We're going to be using the needle holder in our dominant hand most of the time. Some left-hand dominant people do choose to hold the needle holder in their right hand. And those are primarily people who are more lean towards more ambidextrous. But we're going to be using the tissue forceps, the scissors, and holding instruments in our non-dominant hand. So very important that we really work on building the skills of fine motor coordination with each hand.
Sometimes I think about it a little bit like playing the guitar. Both hands are important, but the left hand has its job and the right hand has its job, but they both are important. So you have to, there's not like a particular way of doing it. It's just you learn how to do it with both hands.
Yes. And I liken it to using a knife and a fork.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
some people use the continental method where the fork is in the left and the knife is in the right, or vice versa, depending on your handedness. And some people use the American method where the fork is in your dominant hand and the knife is in your non-dominant, and one is pronated and one is supinated. So, there isn't a single right way, the right way is the way that you can do it smoothly and efficiently, with as few stops and starts as possible, because that's what's going to make you faster. You get faster by eliminating extra steps.
Yes. Yeah.
So much, Susan. Rachel, anything else you'd like to share before we say goodbye to our viewers?
No, I don't think so. I just wish them the best and play and practice, practice, practice.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a good day.